Hey guys, and welcome back to Harry's Herpetological Adventure. I've just returned back from the first ever From the Darkness into the Light conference hosted at Drayton Manor by both Advancing Herpetological Husbandry and the BHS, British Herpetological Society. We're going to be looking through some of the talks and workshops that were given over the two-day event, because some of you guys, obviously AHH members and generally my subscribers, weren't able to make the event. In this episode, we're going to be watching Jim Collins' talk on the legislation imposed upon herp keepers and how this is going to change after Brexit.
Talking unaided. So it's going to change slightly as well. So I did bring some critters with me. Paul let me down. He didn't tell me that we couldn't bring them into the restaurant. So in the car at the moment there's an armadillo and a Boon and a whole stack of things like that, which you won't see. Now, not necessarily go around. But I was going to use those really just as a way of demonstrating things that I was going to touch on during this talk. So forgive me for that. Basically, I was asked to do this on the back of a talk that I'd done at Thames and Chiltern. I'm not sure if anybody was there at Thames and Chiltern one, so apologies if you were. But basically, there I was asked to talk mainly about the legislation, particularly given that we are facing Brexit, and the kind of possible implications that we've got. You know, some are negative and some are positive. It's not all a bad story, but there are some issues that we do have to look at. You probably know, or at least some of you know, I've been involved on the legislation side for the best part of 30 years. So I get to Brussels regularly, which is not great to be able to say necessarily, but I'm there regularly, and I do a lot with work with DEFRA. I work mostly in government agencies as an employee. But I also run the Sustainable Users Network, which many organisations, including BHS, are affiliates to. And I've been coordinator of that for, it's ridiculous, but it's for 22 years. So it's a hell of a long time. Each year I put my hand up and say, somebody else please do it. It never seems to happen. So it ends up with being me. I have said that in 2 more years' time, when I hit 60, I'm definitely quitting. So somebody else needs to step forward at that point. And in terms of my private collection, I have just over 300 species in collection. That's a quite diverse collection as well. So although I have some things I specialise in, rather snakes being one, I keep a lot of meticulous birds, like hummingbirds, sunbirds, sugarbirds, and a lot of small carnivores, so civecs and sheds and mongoose and otters and things like that. And I've had that collection since I was a nipper. So like you probably, or you guys, you kind of got interested at an early stage, and I guess I started keeping things as a result of my father. He kept racing pigeons at the time. He got CITES, so we no longer keep them, but we had spare lofts and so forth, so we converted those into birds, and then I went from there. So I bred my first hummingbird, for example, when I was 14, and we had a little exercise, my wife and myself, over the Christmas period, just to count up how many species I'd kept, and it was 1,002. So as of last Christmas, as we were getting near and I was running out, I was thinking, quite it might hit exactly 1,000. It just tipped over. So it's pretty much across the board. So from inverts through fish, through mammals, not to including reptiles and amphibians. So that's me. In terms of the discussion, please interrupt me. Also, I don't want the kind of questions at the end. I want you to kind of take part and put your viewpoints, because everything I say is not going to be correct. There's not one opinion in these things. So please come back and contradict me, or argue with me, whatever, and save my voice as well. I've probably a few too many wines on the plane, so I'm really kind of engaged. So the first thing I was going to talk about, the talk will kind of balance through, so that there'll be sometimes we touch on CITES and we move away from CITES, and we might go on to things of Wild Animals Act. So it's going to have a natural flow to it anyway. But I was going to start just on Brexit, because it's the most immediate thing that we're all talking about. And the honest answer is nobody knows that. So the previous law said, okay, ham's finished. No, it's not. There's no way that it's finished. our interactions with it as UK citizens will change, but it won't stop us procuring animals from hand. It might make it more difficult. There's no way that in 5 years' time, people from the UK won't still legally be able to go to hand and getting specimens. Okay, so that's kind of it just simply isn't true. You know, it might well be a lot more difficult, and that's what we've got to wait and see how that balances out. But at the moment, if you talk to Brussels or if you talk to the UK at DEFRA, and I was at DEFRA a couple of weeks ago, and they literally said to us, what would you like out? You know, if we started from scratch, what would you guys like? And basically said, as it is now. So that was our pitch, and it might be we get that. You know, so it's not a foregone conclusion that it will be hard. You know, one thing we can certainly say is it won't be easy. You know, so staying as it is as good as we can get. And that might be possible. So certainly from DEFRA's point of view, they would like to make it as easy as possible, you know, because they can see the benefits as things currently stand. But obviously we're only a small cog in this wheel of negotiation within Brexit. You know, we're probably about the 50th priority. You know, we're that far down. So our interest can easily be given away during the negotiation. You know, and frankly, you know, we respond in terms of those discussions. So, depending on how the negotiations go, if they go really difficult, then I suspect that the rest of the EU will put up as many barriers as possible when it comes to us getting animals in. I don't think it'll be the other way around. I don't think the UK will start putting lots of conditions on. I think it'll be a retaliation thing from other EU member states and from the European Commission. So we've got to hope that the overall discussions happen in a reasonably decent manner. Because it would be very, very easy for the other EU member states to say, okay, we are going to demand CITES import and export permits, the full batch of documentation from animal keepers in the UK, either bringing animals from the UK into the rest of Europe or vice versa. And that would be a very, very easy thing for them to do. Obviously, we don't want them to do, but it would be very easy for them to do that. Then we'll be back in a situation where, particularly for CITES species, it would be very difficult to do things like that. Because you would have to have already predicted what you were going to buy, you know, and you would have to get your import permit 2 or 3 weeks in advance, you know, so you can imagine that for CITES species especially, it would be really quite problematic. And that, I think, is where the likelihood is that I don't see any great issue on the common garden tree frog. I really don't. I don't think the EU have any interest in stopping us bringing things back. There's absolutely no way the UK government is interested in preventing this. You know, so they're not considered to be disease control, so they might well put more constraints on, say, mammals coming back in. But at the moment, you can bring in mammals if you've got valid registration like I have. You can bring them in. You don't have to be quarantined as long as they're from the EU member states and they have to be bred and you've got the right disease and veterinary control documentation. That might well change because that was something the UK didn't want to sign up to, or was forced to sign up to as a part of being the European community. So those kind of things might change. But with reptiles and amphibians, you know, there is really no effective disease control issues that the UK government are interested in. So I don't believe that we will see any kind of constraints on common garden species that are not on CITES. But the CITES one is a problem, you know, because whatever else will happen, we will definitely not be a part of EU CITES, you know, because by definition we will left to EU. So we will have a different vote, you know. So at the moment, if you go to CITES meetings, which I have done for the last 20 odd years, the EU votes as a block. You know, so you'll get one country last time around in Spain, and Spain will kind of get on the seat. I mean, it's quite ridiculous actually how they do it, but they will get onto a seat and raise their flag and say, Spain on behalf of 28 member states of the EU. And then it's a bit like the old Transport General Workers Union votes in the old days, you know, 2 million votes, you know, it was a bit like that, you know, so this will be 28 votes. And it really annoys the rest of the countries of the world, by the way. You know, that the rest of the countries of the world really get annoyed with the EU. Because it's a kind of real arrogance thing, because they have all the debate and then the EU say, our 28 Trump you lot, you know. So actually we'll be outside of that annoyance factor. And you can see countries will actively vote against the EU because they don't like the way the EU operates the block vote. So we will be outside. I think effectively probably 9 times out of 10 we still vote the same way, you know, because we typically have the same kind of ethical views and things. Some of the ones where we probably will vote differently is actually on things like elephants. Because the UK will have its own vote, and certainly previous governments, and probably this one as well, actually, would probably vote for a complete ban on ivory trade, whereas the EU almost always abstains. Almost always. And the logic being that there are some pro-hunting countries within the EU and some anti-hunting, so the easiest way of getting them to do the same thing is to abstain. And that's the thing there. So when the EU works in CITES, it literally will have all its debates before the CITES meeting, and then it will come up, okay, we'll vote internally, and they'll vote, and let's say it's 16 votes go one way and 12 votes the other, then all the 28 votes go with the 16. So you don't see a split vote. The minority actually keep their mouth shut, and the vote is for the 28. Obviously we'll be outside of that, so we will be able to vote, but we will just be one vote. And not part of the 28 block. And that has some negative things about it and some positive things. But nevertheless, we will be outside, which also means we'll be outside of the review group. So most of you probably heard of the scientific review group, which is part of the EU's way of running CITES within the EU. And the scientific review group is, well, it's two things. One, is quite complicated, and two, it's usually not very scientific. So they will have species that they have to consider each meeting. They usually meet 3 or 4 times a year. And I've been party to some of those discussions, and they border on the appalling sometimes. So somebody will go to on a holiday in New Guinea. It's an actual example. Went to holiday in New Guinea, and he went diving, and he had been diving 20 years before, and he thought that he'd seen less of 2 coral species than he had 20 years before. And on the basis of that, the trade in those 2 species into the EU was banned. It's given a negative opinion, so it's not allowed to be brought in. And you think, well, come on, guys, that is not really a scientific study. But if one country within the 28, and often it's Spain for some reason, but if one country particularly pushes something, the other countries often can't be bothered to argue against it. So it's kind of they can have it. And that's what happened with this guy. This guy was very passionate, and he said, no, for God's sake, I'm sure that there was less. He said, okay, we'll ban those 2. Now, obviously, that affected people that were genuinely and legally bringing in corals into the UK and into the rest of Europe. But it was done on a totally non-scientific basis, even though it's got a scientific review. And what the SRG primarily does is something that the UK will no longer be part of. And that, for me at least, I'm really pleased with that. Because what the SRG does is second-guess CITES. So, CITES that have a meeting, let's say last year in South Africa, and I don't know, let's say that they decide to give a quota for a species of chameleon in Madagascar. And let's say they stick the quota at 100. Okay, so that's agreed with the CITES Secretariat, it's posted on the CITES website, 100 of this species. And that's the global CITES vote, so that's like 130, 140 countries all voting and saying, yeah, we agree, and 100 is about the right number. And then, but the EU lost that vote, let's say. This doesn't happen just once or twice, this happens endlessly every year without fail. The EU are in the minority, they didn't win the vote, they were in the minority vote. They go back to Brussels, they have the next scientific review group meeting, and they pass what they call a negative opinion on that species. And so it's then banned in the EU. Not banned anywhere else, it has no impact on conservation whatsoever, because the 100 species, specimens are still going to be traded in. It's just going to be traded to South Africa or Japan or the US or Canada, but they just won't have to come into the EU, or at least not legally. They might want to come into Switzerland and it's not really possible in Germany, which often also happens, because Switzerland has to obey the laws, because Switzerland is the depository country for science. So one thing that Switzerland does is always obey the science laws. So they will never, ever second guess science decisions. So what typically happens, if people in Germany would say what them, is that they'll have a friend in Geneva, their ship is in Geneva, they're accepted in Geneva, and take them to Germany. So that's how it works. So it's not exactly a logical thing for the EU to do, because it doesn't really stop the trade. It does make it a lot more complicated, and it does mean that species will end up going much more to the US and Japan than they do into the EU. And you can see it's also something that really annoys other countries, because they say, wait a minute, you're part of this club, you have this vote, you lost the Brussels, and you ban it anyway. You know? And you can see it really does alienate other countries in the way we do it. And the UK will obviously withdraw from the scientific review group come Brexit, so we will not be obligated to listen to the negative opinions of the SRG, which effectively means that the global CITES vote will be the vote that the UK accepts. We won't have all these additional species that are banned because the EU says that's got to be the best thing. For animal keeping, it's the best bit about Brexit to me, is that we will at least be staying within global CITES. We won't have our own little sub-club, if you like. So that's a good piece of Brexit. So the potential bad bit is actually is the trade in terms of bringing animals individually to and froing. But there are also other aspects where we might benefit from not being within the EU. And the obvious one is the positive list of invasive species lists. So most of you have probably come up to the invasive species directive that's coming through. So the third list is now being considered, so it's up for grabs. It's slightly more sensible than it was, because it did have things like American bison on it. Of course, they're a well-known invasive species that would hide away and never be spotted, never shot by someone who wants to get rid of them. So they have, and actually the European Commission decision itself, they actually vetoed the vote. And that was obviously because the European Commission had seen it as being ridiculed. Otherwise it would have gone forward. And that was actually a Polish request. And the request was quite clearly because they have European wisdom tucked away in the Black Forest there. The chances of them kind of escaping from a zoo in Britain and swimming across the channel and diligently making themselves across to Poland, it's pretty ludicrous. But it was the only reason they went forward was because of the European bison in Poland. The list as it stands is a strange list, I mean a really strange list, because there are set criteria. And the criteria are actually quite sensible, really. So it says it must be established in at least one EU country to be considered invasive. They must cause either substantial economic damage or substantial ecological damage or both. And there must be a reasonable chance to stop the spread of the species. That's why the grey squirrel is not really on, because you can't stop it.
So that's why Spain is so active.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is a real Mediterranean versus the rest vote, really. So Spain and Cyprus and so forth are obviously much more worried because there are a lot more species that could establish in those countries than they could in the north of Finland and within the UK. So you've got countries like Spain, Spain pushed towards hyacinth, they just pushed water lettuce, although water lettuce is on the third list. It was Spain that pushed the ring-tailed guarati, which is absolutely ridiculous decision. And the reason it put on ring-tailed guarati is there's a tiny little population in one nature reserve that escaped in Europe. That's the only reason it got on. But of course, because it did establish, it hasn't pushed out, it hasn't gone mad or crazy, but it is established in that one nature reserve. They were able to point to that and say, there's an example, and therefore they must be listed. But they're pushing the boundaries of those criteria even more, and I just made a quite large submission to the European Commission because the third list doesn't contain any reptiles, by the way, but includes all snakeheads, these fish. Yeah. And some of them are big and some of them potentially are invasive, not many. But most of them are actually quite small species and very suitable for aquarists and are tropical and have no chance of establishing whatsoever. But the list has been put forward for all chum, so all snakeheads. So that completely defies all the criteria. If they accept it, it blows the whole of the directive out of the water. Yeah, because it says that every species must be subject to a risk assessment. Well, they presented a risk assessment for one species, just for one species. All the others are unassessed.
And to keep the genetics in that species to be spread, because it could exchange animals within the European Stud Foundation books. Would that exchange be classed as a commercial exchange?
No, it wouldn't. If there's no money exchanging, then it can be gifted. The problem is that's how the UK government interprets it, because we allow gifting, but countries like France absolutely don't accept that. You know, so, and they're wrong, because within the EU CITES it allows for it, but lots of countries say, you still need a permit, even though you're giving the animals. So it would work one way, but it wouldn't work the other.
So if the animal, as part of the European Stud Foundation, was in Germany, and I joined European Stud Foundation, and the man in Germany said, I've got too many animals and I want to spread one, I could pick it up without contravening the German laws.
Well, Germany is an interesting one because it's the land that gives the CITES permit, not the federal authority. So then it depends which land you're in, because some of them are extremely strict and some of them are very relaxed. Germany's a bit of a nightmare one to say, because they have a federal CITES authority. All that does is focus by people. The actual licensing of CITES is done by individual land.
I think we'd have to wait and see, won't we?
Yeah.
With the Studbook animals, there'll be two questions anyway, because some of them are Studbook animals and some of them are private owned animals, so therefore...
Well, they could be both.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, I had a conversation with the president of the Studbook recently about an animal that may have been coming towards me from a confiscation over in Holland, and they'd actually issued that one. It's the first time he'd seen it, the first time I've heard of it. The Dutch have actually issued it. They were authorising any member of the Studbook to house it as an authorised location, but they don't normally do that. It's normally a set location.
Yeah.
So if they would go down that route, then that makes life a little bit easier. But
It strengthens the case of the Studbook, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think it does, irrespective of how Brexit works.
Yeah, it does.
I think things like Studbooks will be a valuable way of actually getting there. Because if you've got the right certificates now, most of the governments are not really, the French is a possible exception. Most of them are pretty decent in terms of saying, no, it makes sense, there's a conservation benefit for it, and they're right. French have it.
And you're establishing pedigree as well, aren't you?
What's that?
You're establishing pedigree as well.
Yes, yeah, absolutely, yeah. I mean, and I've got animals in the Studbook, so I've got great heritage, so I've got potholes, the Herpetological, I've got elongates, so I've got several in the Studbook with the
Okay, very interesting.
Yeah, so it is, I mean, it's very fair to say that it's really up in the air in those respects. But I think on the invasive species one, to put that one to bed, it's almost guaranteed that the UK will withdraw from that directive. Because we're looking at, I was stuck up in Western Europe, it really makes no sense for us to tie in Malta or Cyprus or Italy or whatever. So we will almost certainly take our own list, but it will take time, because most people know, when Brexit actually happens, every law that's not already been negotiated simply rolls over. So we make the whole draft of it will still stay as law. So the EU invasive species directive, you can guarantee will not be one that's sorted out in the next 2 years. Its priority is up in the air. So I suspect that 4 or 5 years after Brexit, we will still be tied annoyingly to the EU directive simply because they haven't got round to amending and writing our own legislation. That's extremely annoying, because if you imagine all the guys that have got coatis, and there's plenty of them, I did say to the top guy at DEFRA that, when I'm long dead and buried, there'll be these 80-year-old coatis that are still miraculously alive. You can kind of guarantee it, and he laughed and said, I don't doubt it. So I think they know full well there's still going to be people breeding, and frankly, if you're breeding and you are stupid and advertise, the chance of you getting caught are almost zero. So the reality is that people will carry on doing that. They'll do that with raccoon dogs when they get listed. Raccoon dogs are on that second list is it's probably coming to force in September. Raccoons, are already on. And the raccoon one is a strange one because it is invasive in Germany. You only have to drive along the Rhine and look on the beach side of the Rhine and see it's back to the moment. So they are clearly invasive in what is essentially a temperate country. But the chance of being invasive in the UK is pretty minimal because how it got established in Germany was with fur farms, and releases of loads of them, at the same time, hundreds of them at the same time. And that's obviously a recipe for allowing the invasive species to take hold. In the UK, you might have a raccoon escape here and another one up in Scotland. The chance of them actually getting together with the population is virtually zero. So again, it hasn't taken account of the kind of logistics matter. It's just said, okay, well, it must be invasive because they invasive in Germany, and Germany had an entirely different situation. So I think we will have a separate list. I think it will be a sensible one. Things like equality certainly will take off, which is I think why people are biding their time and keeping them in their back gardens. I suspect raccoon will still stay on, in all honesty. So people that have got raccoons, I suspect we won't lift that kind of a ban. But really, sliders will almost certainly be lifted because the UK have already done a risk assessment on red-ears. So it'd be a kind of strange thing for the UK government to have actually paid for a risk assessment, which says they cannot possibly be invasive in the UK, and then say, well, we're going to keep them on the invasive species list. One, it'd be kind of absurd, and two, it'd leave them open to any kind of legal challenge. You could never make a decent conviction because you just go to court and say, I quote the UK government risk assessment. So,
would that include the cryosomas, the fancy types as well? Is that?
Yeah, I think that would. I don't think we have any terms. When we get around to.
When we get to those.
Yeah.
Is the so if they make any changes to the list in the next 2 years, is that still binding?
Yeah, well, the annoying thing is, I mean, because I was lobbying the government to actually not sign up to any more, because it's ludicrous, because we know we're not going to implement it. But the steer from the government, and it's not just on animals, it's on everything, is that we will sign every directive up until the day that we leave. So annoyingly, that snakehead example that I gave you, they will, if they get through, the British government will still sign and say, yes, okay, snakeheads are now back, knowing that then they'll reverse it in X number of years' time when they get around to changing legislation. It's kind of stupid, but
Need to be pointing out.
they're determined to do it. So that was it. The only other one I was going to touch on was positive lists. You've probably all heard of positive lists. The Dutch and the Belgians have them now for mammals. The Belgians have them for reptiles as well. And they're an extremely dangerous situation in terms of the impact on animal keepers. Most of them are quite ludicrous as well. If you look at the species that are chosen, a lot of them are chosen clearly because the person that's been making the list happens to have that species in their collection. So you get some species, if I was choosing 100 species, they wouldn't be in it. They're known in the top 30, but they appear. The good thing about it is that the UK government has categorically stated that they have no intention of bringing in positives. They don't see it, they're fortunate, they don't believe they work, and they don't believe they're necessary. So at least in the current government, certainly the Liberals are saying they support positivists. The Labour Party hasn't said anything, but the Liberals and the Greens both support positivists. This current government is categorically opposed to them. So the likelihood is that for at least the next 6 years we won't see positivists.
Thank you, Jim.
I'd like to say thank you very much for watching, guys. There were some great talks at the event. I hope you do check out the Advancing Herpetological Husbandry Facebook page. The link is in the description. Otherwise, make sure to subscribe and check out the rest of this playlist for all the other talks from this event. As I said, I hope you do subscribe to check out the rest of my videos, as we've got some cool stuff coming up, especially when I get into the swing of things, because summer's coming right up. Thank you very much for watching, guys, and I'll see you on the next talk. Goodbye.